With that down, let's move on to the fifth and final main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth and final main topic today?
This last one's from Walter M Hershey. Hey everyone, I know we're all very excited for The Mandalorian to debut, so I was wondering if you saw the early reactions to the show. Apparently everyone is raving about it. Does this make you more excited for it than you already were? Can you guys possibly be more excited about The Mandalorian?
You know what? I thought for a while no, but really there is more room for me to get excited. And yeah, so a bunch of people have had a chance to see keep this in mind. Let's put this in perspective here. A very curated, carefully selected 27 minutes from the first 3 episodes were put together and shown to a bunch of media people. So keep that in mind. Very curated, selected 27 minutes taken from the first 3 episodes. But at least that's still a pretty good sample size. It's still at least a pretty good sample size. The response has been fantastic. Jennifer Landon's writing, "What a morning, saw 30 minutes of footage from The Mandalorian, and all I have to say is, this is the epic Star Wars we have all been waiting years for. Please pardon my excitement." Meckler writes, "Just saw 30 minutes of The Mandalorian. Wow. Feels more Western than sci-fi, from the shootouts to the standoffs to the Vidali onion stew. A new droid character named Gramps is always dotting over. We are entering a new phase of Star Wars, and the future looks bright." Our friend Peter Soretta from over there, /Film, writes, "Just saw almost 30 minutes of The Mandalorian pilot episode. It feels like a thrilling return to the original era of Star Wars. It feels like a big-scale movie, not a TV series. They are still keeping a lot of mystery with deliberate cuts in the footage." Taylor writes, "Wow, #The Mandalorian is completely amazing. Saw nearly a half hour of footage. From what I was told, they're from the first 3 episodes. Whoever you think Nick Nolte is, the answer will surprise you." So maybe he's giving away a little bit something he shouldn't say there. I also saw almost 30 minutes of Mandalorian footage this morning. It's truly incredible. It looks like the films, feels innately Star Wars, introduces new concepts, and adds layers that people have been waiting to see for a long time. Now again, we keep in mind here, Rob, that this was a very carefully curated and selected 27 minutes out of the first, 3 hours of the series, because each episode is going to be an hour long, to show, but still, it is almost a half hour of stuff, and the response has been good. Granted, this is just a couple of individuals. We may go see it, and we may decide we don't like it, but you'd rather hear that people who did see it liked it rather than not. I got to tell you, Rob, this does increase my excitement for it a bit. This does get, particularly because I like Peter's take. I know Peter and I have a lot of similarities, some differences when it comes to this stuff, but hearing him that excited for it makes me kind of excited for it. Rob, you're hearing this response. What do you think?
Well, I've been excited for this since I saw that bootleg footage of Werner Herzog talking to the Mandalorian when he takes the job in the first place. And I'm like, okay, the tone of this is what I've always wanted. I mean, the great thing about Star Wars is even when I was 10 years old and saw the first Star Wars, I knew I'm only seeing a tiny sliver of a giant universe. And I think, we've been focusing on the Skywalker saga, but in the EU and with extended universe and the video games and the comic books, we've seen that extended universe. And I think that's what this is. And we're finally getting a Star Wars that is made by the people that grew up with Star Wars, that understand in their own minds, they're fans of Star Wars, that have made the transition to becoming world-class filmmakers, people that love Star Wars, that rare thing that all fans want. We want to see fans of something that have made the transition to true professionals who are at the top of their game, who go back to the thing that they're fans of the most and bring their filmmaking acumen to that thing. And we don't get it a lot. We really don't. We always get filmmakers that are hired to take a job, but not people that grew up loving this stuff. And I feel we're getting the ultimate, the best chefs that we could possibly have to create this just delicious souffle of Star Wars deliciousness. And I, for one, I can't wait for this show.
I like Kathy Kennedy, I do, but I have been critical of her because, to me, her number one job is making sure she's pairing the right director with the right project. And Star Wars under her watch, while I've liked the movies, has been one crazy, disastrous story of a director having to part ways after another, over and over and over again, from Josh Trank to Lord Miller infamously, to the director of Episode 9, to what went on with Rogue One. She has shown an inability to properly make sure to evaluate and matching the right director with the right project. She's had some success as well. Getting Ron Howard in for Solo was a great stroke. Bringing JJ back was a good idea, but her track record's not good on that. So I've been somewhat critical of Kathy Kennedy on that. However, that said, I remember Jon Favreau, we were at D23 telling the story. Look, Kathy Kennedy probably has about 40 pitches for Star Wars ideas thrown at her a day, probably. And probably by some very big named people. Favreau went into her office and gave her a pitch for this show. Number one, I'm going to give her credit because she recognized the potential in it. And she's getting these pitches all the time. So she heard the pitch from Favreau, saw the upside to it, gave it the green light, but then also had the insight, and I'll give her world of credit for this as well. She said, and this is Favreau telling the story. She said to Favreau, this is good, this is really good, but I think what can really make this pop is I want you to work with Dave Filoni on this. And now Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni had met previously, but not in a working context. So she said, this sounds good, but I think it's right up Filoni's alley. I want you two to collaborate on this. And then so she hooked up Favreau with Filoni. And while I give her a lot of crap for the director disasters that we've had, I will turn around and I will give her a world of credit for this. Because Favreau stood on that stage and this was the best thing that could happen, because he said, me and Dave work so good together and blah. Then Filoni came out on stage with Favreau and they talked about their relationship. So I just hope, because I will sit here now and say, I'll give her, if this turns out great, I'll give her a lot of credit. If we're going to give her crap for some of the other things, we got to give her credit for this. And I just wonder if a lot of people will give her credit. But we'll have to wait and see. But it is good to see. Question is, guys, you're hearing these first reactions. First reactions do not always match up with our own experiences, but you'd rather hear good ones than bad ones. Where are you at right now? Where's your excitement level for Mandalorian right now? Jump down in the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys.